when you live in Karachi, I feel like even if you're not part of a climate group, activism, blah blah, you will still go on a road or even go in your house and breathe air or look on a road and you'll see plastic bags and trash and things that shouldn't be there. So I think you see that and then you feel like you should do your part, and I think I do a good job of that.
When you go shopping, how do you deal with all the plastic bags and all the stuff that they give you, which is quite unnecessary and polluting?
So I usually decline a receipt before it's even printed. I would take my own tote bag.
You do, really?
I do. It's quite an effort, but I keep them in the car.
When you look at the coastal areas, I don't know, you've been to Hawke's Bay and the beaches and then the Clifton Beach, right? Do you notice how polluted it is and why it is that way? Any idea what we are throwing in there?
I usually see plastic bags, which of course disturb the underlife sea, and then I see cans and packets of like crisps and cans of
I have noticed
sodas,
nappies,
and tissues,
shoes,
and all of that.
all sorts of stuff, right?
Yes, all different types of stuff.
And a lot of sewage.
Sewage,
Domestic
yes,
sewage.
yes.
It's very hard because we have 264 million people. So educating each and every one on the dangers of climate change is a problem.
There's a fight at a global scale, at the national level, what Pakistan can do, and then there is the fight on our individual level, as you were saying, in our lifestyles. Welcome to Breathe Pakistan's initiative on climate change. I'm Shahzeb Jillani. We are talking about climate change, and we're not just talking to grown-ups. We want to involve young people into this conversation. On the show with me today are two very interesting young people. I have with me Hasan Ali Hilaly, and I have Mohammad, Zayaan, Saleem, Ahmad. Long name, but interesting. So, why don't I start with you? Okay. You're in Karachi, right? And you consider yourself environmentally conscious. You are aware of climate change issues. How in your lifestyle are you trying to be a gentler, more responsible young citizen?
Well, I think there's a limit on how much you could do. But I try to, use tote bags instead of plastic, and I turn my lights off. It's just the little things, because at the end of the day, I don't have a big program. I don't have, initiatives. I just have my daily life, and so I try to do things in those that I feel would help, and I think I do a pretty good job of that.
Give me an example.
So, for example, every night, I make sure all the taps are off. Why? Because they just happen to be on, water gets wasted, and there's just no point. So, when you live in Karachi, I feel like even if you're not part of a climate group, activism, blah blah, you will still go on a road or even go in your house and breathe air or look on a road and you'll see plastic bags and trash and things that shouldn't be there. So I think you see that and then you feel like you should do your part, and I think I do a good job of that.
When you go shopping, how do you deal with all the plastic bags and all the stuff that they give you, which is quite unnecessary and polluting?
So I usually decline a receipt before it's even printed. I would take my own tote bag.
You do, really?
I do. It's quite an effort, but I keep them in the car.
Is it just you making that effort, or you are being told to, by a parent or a sibling to do it?
Well, I actually enjoy painting them, and then I use them.
Really?
But I do forget, human nature. But
you're forgiven.
I try.
It's okay.
I try.
Yeah. Okay. So you try. And since when? I mean, how did it start? Most people don't make the effort.
Yeah. I was going through my kitchen and I found a bunch of plastic bags and I asked what they were, and they said, well, every time we go shopping, we keep them. And I said, for what?
Yeah.
There's no point.
Yeah.
Well, they said, well, we can take them out. I said, but you're going to put them on the road, so no
Right.
point.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, let's do something fun. So I went to Imtiaz, coincidence, and got 5 tote bags, painted them, and I just used those because use them infinitely and they're great, they don't break. And I think for one tote bag, I've saved 50 plastic bags.
That's wonderful. Now, as a 12-year-old, you are not doing your house groceries, right? It's somebody else going. Are they doing the same thing?
So I find it quite therapeutic to go get groceries. I try to go as much as I can, but on the odd occasion that I don't go, I leave them in the car.
Yeah.
And that is usually the time when they're not used, because everyone's like, oh, why would he put these? Yeah. But when I go, I try.
Okay, wonderful. I mean, I've never met a young person who talks about retail therapy, but it's amazing. What about you, Zayaan? How are you trying to?
So I personally have gone to the beach before with my family and my friends, and I took I think 3 or 4 bags full empty, and I thought I would just like fill up 1 or 2 maybe, but I actually ended up filling all 4 bags, and it was actually mind blowing knowing like how disturbing it looks to see our whole environment like this, and how people throw their trash into the ocean, and how we just cope with it. Like
That must have been in Karachi, right?
yeah, it was in Karachi.
Now you go to the beach in Dubai as well.
Even in the beach of Dubai, I don't see as much trash, but of course, there's always going to be trash somewhere or the other.
Now you are in Karachi. You've lived in Karachi. We are in Karachi. When you look at the coastal areas, I don't know if you've been to Hawke's Bay and the beaches, and then the Clifton Beach,
Yeah.
right? Do you notice how polluted it is and why it is that way?
Yes, I have noticed definitely how polluted the
Any idea what we are
beaches are.
throwing in there?
I usually see plastic bags, which of course disturb the underlife sea, and then I see cans and packets of like crisps and cans of
I
like
have noticed
sodas,
nappies,
and tissues and
shoes,
all of that.
all sorts of stuff, right?
Yes, all different types of stuff.
And a lot of sewage,
Sewage,
domestic
yes,
sewage.
yes.
In fact, I think there's a place of sea view. You can see how it's all being drained, untreated into the.
And even like over there, they like also waste oil, because if you see those buggies that they use and those like ATKs or whatever you call them,
Yeah.
they all use oil. And like now Dubai and many countries have started something new, which is electric, right? Like Teslas and different types of cars.
Moving away from fossil fuels
Yes,
and going towards
yes.
electric. Now, you come across as a responsible, environmentally conscious
Thank you.
young citizen. What do you make of, like on the global level, how did we get here with the pollution and global warming and greenhouse gases?
So I think fossil fuels are, don't kill me, great to a certain extent. I mean, when you get too comfortable for something, you'll overuse it. And we have done that to such a extreme level that I read a statistic a few days ago that by 2070, I think, half of the trees will be gone. So, you're just like, well, okay, when I'm, 50, will Pakistan be cleared out up north? What will happen? And I think because Pakistan has such a diverse environment, I mean, beautiful, beautiful mountains, but then, beaches at the bottom. It's very hard because we have 264 million people. So educating each and every one on the dangers of climate change is a problem. But something like this initiative is amazing because we get the opportunity to try. And I think those things are what makes, this great.
Okay, that's a brilliant answer.
Yeah.
Except you haven't answered my question.
Okay.
How did we get here? What is your understanding? What happened? Where did we kind of go wrong?
We've gone wrong by like even the little things like leaving our taps open, keeping the lights on. It all starts with the little things to make it bigger.
But maybe
Also,
something big happened.
like the floods, maybe.
No, you look at, for example, last 200 years. You've read about the Industrial Revolution, right?
Yeah.
Western countries
Yeah.
setting up these huge industries which run on fossil fuel, as you were
Yeah.
saying. And what did that do? They developed, industrialized massively, paying zero attention to how it's leading to an ecological disaster. And the greenhouse gases that we talk about, the
yes,
scientists
yeah,
talk about,
yeah.
the changes we've seen in Earth's temperature have not been seen before, caused by our industrial activities, right?
Yes.
So that is why a lot of people, when they talk about climate change, they talk about the Western world, the rich world,
Yes.
how they became rich at the cost of the planet. And amazingly, what they have done in the last 100 or so years Who's paying the price? Countries like Pakistan, Bangladesh, Maldives.
All of like those types of countries.
Is your concept of sea level rise clear, or are you not clear? Are you?
I am still 50-50. I'm a bit like still
Okay.
unclear.
So it's really basic, really simple. You know, when you see a pot of water being boiled, you know, you raise the temperature.
Yes.
What happens?
It's
Water expands,
yeah.
right? So if you had a pot, you know, at this level, when water heats up, it goes up, right?
Yep.
Same thing with oceans. Because of the temperature, sea level is rising.
Yeah.
And most vulnerable are, you know, small islands, countries where the coastline is disappearing.
Yeah.
And Maldives is an example. And something else is contributing to sea level rise as well, which is melting glaciers,
Yep.
right?
That's played like a really big part in.
Any idea how, for example, Pakistan's melting glaciers are being monitored? Where does the data come from? How do we know, sitting in Karachi?
I actually thought it was
Sorry?
the mountains.
Satellites,
I
yes.
thought it was mountains, but then, because you know, like how the mountains start, like I think it's. I know it, but
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
these are basically snow mountains, right? Really
so like
way
the
up in
snow,
the mountains.
like I think starts to melt a little bit or something.
Yeah.
Because I remember when we were talking about climate change in our school, they spoke about mountains, so I remember that.
Yeah, yeah.
But to go on the water level for a second, when you said that plastic was in the water, totally right. It's because also it would be fine if they were biodegradable. And we have options for biodegradable materials to make these bottles. It's a bit more expensive, okay. It's just that, you know, corporations aren't willing to pay and take a little bit out of their salary to benefit the entire planet. And I think that's the problem. It's not, you know, that we can't do it. It's that it's mainly greed, from what I've seen.
Spot on. Greed.
Yes.
Capitalism, right? Maximizing profits at any cost, right? And yes, so that has contributed, not just governments, but big corporations, right? Now, some of these corporations are making an effort to change their ways, you know, to be more ecologically aware, to be more sustainable in their practices. My sense is their efforts are too small at the moment. And it helps them paint in a positive light because they showcase. Have you heard of CSR? You know what CSR means?
I think I've heard
Corporate
of
social responsibility. So big corporation, for example, oil and gas, right? Fossil fuels contributing to greenhouse gases. When they are criticized by activists like, have you heard of Greenpeace?
Yeah.
It's a global organization. They are a bit militant, right, in trying to stop environmental degradation. When they attack big oil and gas companies, they showcase these tiny initiatives where they say, oh look, we are planting all these trees to save the planet, you know, why don't you appreciate this? Look, we've done this little, we've opened this school, you know, we've done this. But those initiatives are really tiny, really tiny compared to the damage that is being caused by the oil and gas.
But
Yeah, go ahead.
But then, why did like people in like global, like foreign countries, like American people, like their presidents and like Trump, for example, he thinks that he thinks that global warming, climate change, it's natural and we should like not care about it.
Yeah.
Because he thinks that it's supposed to, waters are supposed to rise.
Yeah.
And he thinks it's normal, which in reality it is of course normal, but we've really made it go faster, like all the climate change and the global warming, we've helped it become worse because of our fossil fuels and because of the
so it's
gases
not just
and
Trump.
all of
There
that.
are a lot of people in the US and in the Western world who believe that, and he's just representing their point of view. He's saying that, look, this whole data and science which says that these changes are man-made, and these are maybe irreversible in some instances, where you have amazing wildlife disappearing from the face of the earth, right? He is articulating the interests of oil and gas industry, fossil fuel lobby, corporate sector, and he believes that we actually don't really need to change our lifestyle. We don't need to do away with our gas guzzling SUVs or consume less electricity, because he thinks we can exploit it. It's the attitude of basically rich and affluent people, right? Do you see it in our country as well? I mean, our country is a poor country, but there are some really filthy rich people.
I'll give you an example. I think a lot of people got their money by working hard. But if you look at Lahore, they have a crisis. It's not a situation, it's gone crisis level. And it's 2.1 cars per household in DHA. Now, DHA is obviously a wealthier area of Lahore. So if a poor family will have maybe a bike or a motorcycle, and you look at the richest families in Lahore who have 10 Land Cruisers, it's a bit much. And then those are the same people who advocate and they say, oh, this is ridiculous, government. But you look at the facts, they're the one doing it, they're the ones contributing. And I think part of climate change is not also saying it, but also accepting responsibility, making a plan on how to go. Screaming about it and saying it's bad, everyone knows. It's not something new. But finding a way and a plan to go around it is what I think we need to be focused on.
You're spot on. It is an uphill task, but can it be done?
Yes.
It can be done, right?
With the help of all nations, and they come together.
Who's going to do it?
No, we have to see.
It'll be up to you guys.
Yeah.
We had a worldwide pandemic which stopped it.
Yes,
I think
that's a great example.
why do we need to have a global pandemic for the world to realize that the planet is in shambles? I mean, it's ridiculous.
I agree.
Yeah. So my generation has done what it can, but going forward, you guys,
hopefully
right?
we
and
can
then
also
your
help, and then
yes,
of course,
you can be part of the solution, or you can be part of the problem, right? A lot of people I talk to affected by climate change, they believe that we've already missed the bus. Temperatures are rising. With President Trump in the US, global efforts to take necessary action will suffer,
but that's
because
what
he
we
doesn't
have
believe
to do.
in, like you said, he doesn't believe that we need to do anything.
But that's what we have to do. We have to show why climate change is bad and it's not good. We have to prove our point, because if they keep believing that it's all natural and it's nothing because of our greed and ourself, then we're never gonna go ahead and get better, and it's just gonna keep getting worse.
Well, to get on your Donald Trump point for a second, I think President Trump has no sense of climate change, and until we realize that people in power should have some sense of, looking at a stat sheet. When you take inspirational quotes about climate change, it doesn't do anything. You need to look at facts, you need to be logical, and you need to understand what to do. Because as Zayaan said, I mean, they just think it's a hoax. It's natural. But when you look at the fact, it's not. So I think we need to do that.
Because he's told us about the greed and all, and it can't be natural, because we all have played a part to make it worse.
So climate change is not up for debate in terms of whether I believe in it or you don't believe in it. It's about facts, as we said. It's about data. And there's plenty of data by scientists around the world, by the UN, by NASA, right? How do we fight fake news by Trump? We talk about facts, right? And I think in that kind of an environment where powerful people are denying something that is jeopardizing your future, we fight back with facts and with data, right? And I think making a little bit of noise sometimes does go a long way in focusing minds. So there's a fight at a global scale, at a national level, what Pakistan can do, right? and then there is the fight on our individual level, as you were saying, in our lifestyles. It's a pleasure talking to you, listening to you, very inspiring, and I'm just grateful. I learn a lot every time I talk to people, young people especially, how you are thinking and how you're approaching this. I think for now, that's it. We will meet with more young people and listen to their amazing insight into climate change next time.